Alright, what is up, guys? Just a few moments ago, they made the announcement that we are getting the patch for multiclassing today. And I've been asked a ton of times on Twitch, specifically for my streams and in some of my YouTube comments, what exactly I plan on multiclassing with. And I've mentioned a lot of things, but I never really had a complete set plan. And truthfully now, even I kind of wasn't prepared. I don't have all my characters leveled. As you see, my Barbarian's 18, my Cleric's 21, my Warlock's only 26. These are the three characters I am interested in multiclassing with. However, they did say they're increasing the XP and like you kind of lowering the requirement for how much XP you're really gonna need to keep all three or to get characters like to the multi-class level. So I'm not really sure how much it'll be decreased by or how much XP they'll give you, but they should give you a decent bit. But with that being said, my plans for multiclassing, what are they going to be? Well, to start off with, like I said, as I'm sure, I just mentioned three characters. These are the three characters I'm looking at, and I will just go down the list in terms of what I want from each character. Barbarian. Barbarian is probably the one I want the most from. Obviously, Robust, Iron Will, both fantastic perks. Savage Roar, another fantastic perk. Warcry, also very, very good. But then you have a lot of other things that are potentially could be very, very cool. Think axe specialization. So if you don't know, and I didn't test this, I saw some people in Fighter Chat and Dark and Darker Discord, shout out to them. They tested this, and apparently if you have axe spec on, this just says while using axes, which pretty much means while having them equipped, you gain 5 weapon damage. It works the same as sword mastery. So if you have an axe in one hand and another weapon in the other weapon also gains the benefit. So this can synergize very, very well with Slayer. Think you could use like a horseman's axe with a short sword, then you're getting sword mastery, Slayer, axe spec for plus 12 weapon damage. That's pretty cool, I'm not gonna lie. And if you don't know, on Slayer builds, you've always had a 4th perk slot that's relatively been open, so that's something that can be really, really fun to run, really fun to try out. Executioner, not really interesting. Morale boost, that is a potential option. Berserker, another potential option. Savage, not going for this. Two-hander, you're not going for this. Crush isn't the worst. However, for the most part, you're not using weapon to do this. I guess Falchion might be good. I don't know if Falchion breaks doors with Crush. I don't think it would. Because I think the impact power is only 4. I think you need a 5 impact power to break doors with Crush. So that's probably not very relevant. If you use a two-handed weapon, like you're a halberd gamer or something, maybe, because halberds can break it. But, like I said, I don't really know. Probably not cool. Carnage, not very useful. Moving on to skills, like I said, other than Warcry and Savage Roar, like I think both of these are legitimate options. Achilles, maybe. This isn't an awful thing. You can run like Achilles crossbow. That can be kind of cool. To pretty much root people, Achilles bow, things like that. Or if you just go melee and you pop Achilles and you hit somebody, like, you run arming sword, you hit somebody with Achilles strike, they're pretty much guaranteed to die, which is pretty fun. Blood exchange sucks. Rage. Rage is an option. It's certainly, in the situation where you're fighting casters, Rage is a better option than Sprint. However, if you're fighting melee characters, Rage is a worse option because, you lose PDR while you're running at them. Reckless Strike, you're not running, and War Sacrifice, you are also not running. So, and then Potion Chugger is an option, and Treasure Slungs, this would only be an option if you were taking, like, double shouts like a Barbarian. So, I think in terms of things I want the most, I think number 1 is Robust. Surprisingly, it's not Iron Will, and the reason for this is because I also potentially want Anti-Magic. But Robust is the number 1 thing I want. Followed by, I would say, either Warcry or Savage Roar. Probably Savage Roar. Savage Roar specifically because it lets you deal with Barbarians more effectively. If they run at you, you can Savage Roar them, and it is much easier to live through a Barbarian's damage if they are Savage Roared than if they are not. And also, it's okay, well, I'm doing no damage to you, but you are also doing no damage to me, type of thing. Then I'd have to say I'm probably going to follow back by Iron Will. Iron Will is dependent on, like, how much I want Iron Will is dependent on whether or not I have anti-magic. Because if my Warlock is my first character that I roll on, which obviously it looks like it will be because it's the highest level, then if I take anti-magic first, I'm not going to take Iron Will later. Like, yes, you ignore the knockback effects, and yes, anti-magic doesn't work for holy spells. However, I don't really care about those. The knockback effect is basically irrelevant. The only time you ever get knocked around is fireballs. or you like, if somebody's running like pushback on archer, but who cares on that, like on ranger, but who cares, or whatever does that like legitimately. And the knockback effect for fireballs is very, very oftentimes not relevant for a fighter, because more often than not, you'll be blocking fireballs, because if you block them, it's the same thing as them splashing beside you. Then Axe Spec, it's actually pretty cool. I think I might run this just to run around with Slayer, maybe have some fun with that. And then there's not else a ton I like I said, Warcry, or like maybe Berserker or Morale Boost if I had to take an option. Like, if I roll Executioner, Morale Boost, Carnage, then I'm probably going to take Morale Boost. However, in a perfect world, I'm going to take Robust, Savage Roar, maybe Warcry, maybe, but then Axe Spec. So I'll probably take boom, boom, boom from this guy. Moving on, let's go look at Warlock. From Warlock, this is actually interesting because there aren't a ton of things I want. There are some things I would take if I had just to mess around with. However, the main things I kind of want are Demon Armor. I think Demon Armor could be pretty cool. So, you might be like, oh, why are you taking Demon Armor in a class that can use plate? Demon Armor lets you use any plate armor, so now you're not restricted to certain pieces that you couldn't use before. You could swap over to other things that are really good. Think the Yermanbu. Normally you can't wear those, however, now you can. And it's a very, very good helmet that pretty much combines Chappelle with Hound Skull. You don't have as much mobility as Chappelle, however, you don't have minus MR and all the minus movement speed of a Hound Skull. But it gets big as a base. It's really, really good. Then you can wear other things that you might potentially want to wear, like, like the Visored Sallet, which gives, like, Dex Agi. I think that gives Dex Agi. Hold on, let me look. I have it on my Barbarian. But there are just a ton of other armor options that you could wear. Let me see. Where's it at? Yeah, Dex Agi on this. And it has a really good armor rating, and, for the move speed penalty, it's not the worst. But yeah, look at your move stats. Ton of armor, ton of MR, low move speed, and it gives Vig as a base. Like, that's sick. That is sick. But Demon Plate is one option. And then this is pretty contingent. These are contingent on each other. But I kind of want to take Blood Pact and Soul Collector. Obviously, Soul Collector to buff Blood Pact. I think this could be really, really fun. However, the big problem with this is if you don't have spells, then you can't run Bloodstained Blade. And obviously, if you don't know, Bloodstained Blade is a very big part of Demon form. And also, this once again goes back to having, like anti-magic, because anti-magic is the #1 thing I want from this class. Assuming I don't have Iron Will from Barbarian. If I roll Iron Will on Barbarian, like as one of my first perk slots, then yes, I'm probably not taking anti-magic, because why would I? They're kind of redundant. You're not. I mean, technically speaking, I could run them both, right? Like I could run anti-magic and Iron Will and just be like 75% MR, just almost as a base. And I mean, there's certainly a possibility that I do that. I'm not saying I won't. Just because I'll slap anti-magic on, I'll slap Iron Will on, and I'll say, fuck every caster out there. I'm never going to have to deal with that shit anymore. But like I said, other than that, pretty much everything you see I have here are things I'm looking for. These up here aren't very relevant. Yeah, like most of these are completely useless to you, truthfully. I guess maybe Dark Reflection if you want to build like some funny magic damage fighter build, but nothing else here is very useful. Everything else kind of sucks. And then lastly, I have Cleric as an option. And just as a warning or forewarning, these are the things I think are going to be best. And, these are the most like legitimate ones. Not to say there aren't other funny, like, backstep, Spear of Proficiency, Crossbow Mastery, Fighter, meme builds or whatever out there that could be very, very good. Or like, Rapier Mastery on Bard or Creep on Rogue or anything like that. Like, there are a ton of things you could do. These are just the ones I'm looking at that I think are going to actually be the best. So, for Cleric, you have Perseverance, you have Protection from Evil, Smite, Divine Protection, and, like, Blunt Weapon Mastery, and I think those are generally the best ones. Overhealing can work, so if you don't know, overhealing affects any healing that you have at the time, I'm pretty sure. So, I think it's magical healing, maybe. I don't know exactly how it works, but presumably, if no one's tried it, overhealing would work with your second wind. So, if you pop it at the start of a fight, instead of, just, oh, if I take damage, it heals me, you're getting, like, it starts proccing up the overhealing, and you're getting a shield as you're starting the fight off, which would be pretty cool. But that's not, like, super crazy. That might be, like, something that you try as, like, for fun. But I think the best ones are probably Protection from Evil and Perseverance, obviously, are incredibly strong. Running these on, like, Demon Fighter would be crazy. Protection from Evil is really good because you already have a ton of will from, like, having, like, plus 10 all. However, the big downside is obviously you're not going to be able to have a ton of your like pretty much what my fighter is going to end up being is not a fighter at all. Like I'm going to run very few innate fighter perks. Like if I decide to play demon, like demon fighter for example, I probably won't be running sprint. I probably won't be running second wind. I'll probably run defense mastery and maybe swift if I can fit it, but there's no guarantee I even can, right? Like that would be relatively difficult to do. But defense mastery, perseverance, protection from evil, anti-magic, which obviously I can't really do that, so it probably wouldn't be perseverance, it'd probably be protection from evil. Defense mastery, perseverance, soul collector for the plus 10 all, and then either anti-magic or iron will. I'd have to do the math on which one's actually better, because I'm not sure. It would probably be iron will, because you're getting to that sweet spot. Maybe not, because anti-magic jumps you up straight to the end. I don't know. But these are the options. And then, like Smite is also very good. I said Divine Protection. This is going to be good specifically if you play like a Slayer build, like going like a Sprint Divine Protection. That could be really, really insane. Because then you're 75% PDR without having to actually build PDR. And, as if you've ever played Slayer, Second Wind isn't super valuable on Slayer just because you don't have usually, like, even if your HP is relatively high, for the most part, the fight isn't 12 seconds long to get the full effectiveness of Second Wind, right? Generally, the fights are over much, much faster. Either you win, or either you die, or they die, usually in a lot less than 12 seconds. Or, you just didn't need, like, this, even if it is 12 seconds, most of it usually isn't fighting, so Second Wind usually wasn't that valuable. So, yeah, I know this is a relatively quick video, but for the most part, these are the things I'm considering looking at. Obviously, like I said, there are more things that could be done on, like, relatively meme things, like, like Blow of Corruption, or, Staff Mastery, or, like, spells, Rogue Hide, Double Jump, Crossbow Mastery from Ranger, Triple Shot from Ranger, all of these other random things, um, like Bard songs or whatever else. Ton of different things that you could do. However, like I said, those are just like the thing. Those are the ones I'm looking at that in my mind are legitimate to run, right? Like that if you run these, you won't feel bad running them because they're not gonna like you're not like running a troll build that is troll. You're running something that you think is legitimately good. But with that being said, that's gonna wrap up the video for me. So feel free to comment down below any things you guys have planned for multiclassing or anything I may have missed that you think could be really, really strong, because I will be happy to try out a ton. If you don't know, when multiclassing comes out, you will be able to re-roll for 500 gold at the fortune teller. I don't know if it'll be increasing in value or it'll always be a static value, but you'll be able to re-roll your perk, so you'll have a ton of freedom to try out all the builds you want, assuming they don't limit it, which would be really stupid in my opinion. But like I said, that's it for the video. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.